In the last 10 years, I was married and then I wasn't. I was pregnant and then I wasn't. I had a successful career in the fitness industry and then I didn't. I lived in New Jersey and then I didn't. I've experienced many beginnings and many endings, each and every one of them beautiful and painful. At the age of 16, when my mother left my father, I felt deserted and left behind. I was angry and afraid. It was the first time my mom left my dad and didn't take us with her. I became selfish, and in that moment, I decided that I was going to do whatever it took to protect myself. My twin brother was old enough to take care of himself, and my sister young enough that my dad would take care of her. 10 years later, my mom came back home. I was grateful to know where she was, that she was safe and alive, that she had returned was enough for me, and I had forgiven her. At least that's what I thought. Fast forward to April 1st, 2017. I was living in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and at the age of 45, I began the drive back home to New Jersey to live with my siblings so we could take care of our mother together. My father passed away in July of 2015, losing his second battle to remnants of lung cancer. 16 months later, my mother had a mild stroke. In addition to the mild stroke, she began to behave in a way that we had not seen since her drinking days. A recovering alcoholic with over 20 years of sobriety, I caught her drinking a beer and smoking cigarettes, which she also had given up. Not sleeping, not eating, and talking a lot more than she had in years. She also began to do things like leave the house without telling anyone, forgetting how to get home or not coming home at all. One time, I had to go to the police department to file a missing persons report because I couldn't find her and no one knew where she was. I drove around the neighborhood. I called family members, friends, and hospitals. This was too much. My mother was acting as if she didn't care about anything or anyone but herself. It was as if I had been transported back in time and I was 16 again. This stirred up so many emotions. I was struggling, and all I wanted to do was run away and go back to Florida, but I knew I had to stay. Hadn't I already been through enough? Why did I come home if this was how it was going to be? We finally got my mom to the right doctors, on the right medications, and into therapy. She was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and early onset Parkinson's, not dementia. Earlier this year, she stopped taking her medication. And I had to have a hard, open, and honest conversation with her about what it was like. I had never told her the story about that year before. I know it scared her, especially because she didn't remember any of it. She didn't even recognize herself in the pictures that I shared with her. I didn't guilt her or shame her. I just continued to love her and do my best to understand her and create space for her to be. Have you ever wished that you could go back in time and change an experience, an event, or a decision you made? Me too. But then I get to wondering that if I changed one thing, it would change everything, and then I'd want to go back and change something else. Instead, I choose to be grateful and thankful for each moment exactly as it is. Every 7 to 10 years, every cell in our body is replaced by a new cell. We essentially become new people. It's no wonder that our minds change, our bodies change, and our lives change. It's just part of living. So, If our body sheds old cells for new cells, giving us new life, could you imagine if we took a look at all of the beginnings and endings in our lives and thought, all new beginnings come from some other beginning's end? Let me say that again. All new beginnings come from some other beginning's end. When Oprah was 23, she was fired from her first reporting job as a co-anchor. When Tina Fey was 23, she was working at the YMCA. When Vera Wang was 40, she designed her first dress after failing to make the Olympic figure skating team and not getting the editor-in-chief position at Vogue. And when J.K. Rowling was 28, she was a suicidal single parent living on welfare. If all of these women had let any of these endings prevent them from beginning again, Oprah could still be a reporter, Tina Fey could still be working at the YMCA, Vera Wang could still be an editor at Vogue, and J.K. Rowling could be dead. I'm not married, I don't have children, and I no longer work in the fitness industry. What I am is a vegan chef, a health coach, a published author, and a speaker, living back in New Jersey. I had no idea that coming home would be so healing, that this time with my mother would be the beginning of a relationship based on love, trust, and honesty, the true foundation for forgiveness. I'm happy that I chose to start over with her, that I chose to show her lots of love, compassion, and a ton of patience at a time when she had no idea what was happening to her. I have found love within myself, for myself, and my brother and my sister are my best friends. My father was a lover of family, and even though he and my mother had separated many times and even divorced, they found a way to come together in friendship and companionship until his death. I know he's happy that we're all together again. The beginning of this story started out like a Grimm's fairy tale. Thankfully, it didn't end that way. I could never have imagined my life to be the way that it is today had I decided not to begin again. Thank you.